It is your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. And we're zooming in and focusing in a little bit more in understanding the dynamics when it comes to a relationship with a covert malignant narcissist or a psychopath. And really that is the aftermath, that really kind of the struggle, that you experience really within the relationship, but then definitely in the aftermath of the relationship. And that is really the experience of wiping out your identity. Now, really the whole goal of the channel is to help understand a little bit more about this relationship and then your experience therein. And one of the most profound, and I would say hallmark experiences is just that, is either having a wiped out identity that had to be dissolved in order to either please or maintain a relationship with this individual, or furthermore, that they had encouraged an enabling or codependency at some point in the relationship, where essentially the relationship became really truly all about them and dismissive of you, your needs, your interests, your voice, your opinion, things that you had brought up, things that you had brought to the table that were significant, that you wanted, and really, in terms of not only yourself, but of the relationship in general. And this becomes basically swept under the rug or pathologically lied about, being, directly to you in the way of false promises, and in the, sycophantic flattery, the very sort of superficial flattery that can be a real tool of a narcissist or a psychopath, is to give superficial, non-authentic compliments to those people with whom they seek as supply, who they seek to target. And yes, these individuals know that they are different from other types of people. They know that they don't really have that same heartfelt connection. They don't feel that sense of humility or humbleness that comes from empathy, that comes from the sense of humanity, that comes with the sense that there is human suffering in the world and wanting to, perhaps be a part to alleviate some of that. They feel really that it is all about them. It is all about their charm, what they want. And if they hurt others to get what they want, if they need to step on somebody, they don't feel bad. They don't feel remorse. They don't feel regret, especially in the relationship or experience with a psychopath. These individuals oftentimes take deliberate and calculated measures so that they do hurt others. They feel a sense of delight and pleasure in knowing that they have pathologically lied to others. It is something that they laugh about, that they get a sense of reward, with regards to the dopamine, the neurochemical, which is part of the pleasure, part of the reward system within the mind itself, the emotional body. They have a hypersensitivity to dopamine, and a lack of oftentimes the other neurochemicals which are resultant to that of empathy, these centers that help to promote empathy, the testosterone, the amygdala, the other areas, the anterior postular insula that relate to empathy and reward and judgment. These are out of balance, and these individuals take a pleasure with knowing that they have hurt others. It gives them a sense of reward or satisfaction. When most people would be very much the flip side or the opposite, they would work hard not to hurt others in knowing that they were, being respectful, being functional, being compassionate, being able to work as a whole and as a group in society. I mean, we look at cultural norms and values, and oftentimes the value of the group oftentimes will supersede that of the individual. In other words, we talk about team players, good sportsmanship, all these sort of things which factor in to that whole goal of compassion and empathy and being your best person, but not, to the point where you're having to hurt others to get there. Most people would not, do that. So there is that understanding then that for this to occur, there is something different about the neural network and wiring and firing within these types of individuals. And so furthermore, to understand for the topic of this discussion, it's really knowing that wiping out one's identity, which means your I am, which means who you are at the core of your being, is an experience that they don't want you to live from, feel from, emote from, or protect. That feeling of your identity, of being empowered, of being able to call them out, of being able to say no more, to have and declare a boundary, is oftentimes the boundary violation which allows you to become vulnerable to then that experience and kind of giving it all to them. And in the beginning, it is oftentimes in the name of love. So it's, it's to help them. It is to help your relationship. You will make sacrifices of time, money, attention, affection. You might be doing all the giving in the relationship. You might be doing all the cooking, the shopping, giving all the attention, giving all the affection, always, focusing on them. And for a lot of people, that is their strength. They are very good physical therapists. They are very good doctors. They can be very good politicians. When they're looking out for others, they're truly able to want the best for another in order to put others first. We see this in the great healers. We see this in the great, in the great cultures where people are able to work for the good of the whole. I mean, we see this very clearly, particularly in the Japanese culture, where, you see the bowing and the reverence, for others and the respect of elders that's interwoven in their culture. So they have oftentimes this whole philosophy as a centuries old, culture, as knowing that this is so important to revere your elders, to revere the group of the whole, to revere the group of the, the whole of the organization, the higher executives, things of this nature. There's a certain humility and reverence that comes with acknowledging, but not to sacrifice, your individuality totally. But, that is part of what is built in and part of what makes for a functioning, system. But this is really what is oftentimes an experience with those people who have had prolonged experiences or relationships with a covert narcissist, and most definitely with a psychopath, because the hypervigilance and the fear, the insecurity that is made vulnerable, that is exploited and exasperated in those people who are around them, oftentimes these people enter into this hypervigilant or paranoid state and then begin to work hard to kind of detect or be detective to see if they've been cheated, and work hard to kind of keep the relationship intact by either trying to become more attractive, trying to become more available, waiting by the phone, waiting on Facebook, trying to do all these different, people-pleasing behaviors to try to win them over better than the next person who they are, feared of being replaced. So then it becomes a wiping out of your identity, or kind of your inner core, kind of knowing what your own I am is, knowing where your boundaries are, knowing to say, I deserve better, knowing to say, I deserve respect, and to know what your own interests are, pursue your own interests without feeling guilty, feeling like you're not missing something, without this person. Oftentimes people feel, in terms of their sacrifices that they make, is that they, have to always be at the ready for this individual. They're that addicted psychologically to this person, and their world essentially begins to revolve around them, and there's a wiping out of your identity. And in the situation with the psychopath as well, they will twist and contort and gaslight people so that their sense of reality really is really askew and distorted, and the emotional connection that they have to their own, core needs, core feelings, core values becomes abandoned when they're in a relationship with them. And it is then allows the psychopath then to put their values in place, so the person really doesn't know how to run their own values anymore. It's kind of like, I'm thinking of it now, it's kind of like a refurbished car. If you were to take an old hot rod and put like a new kind of engine in it, it's running with these sort of foreign parts, if you will. And so it's like one's own identity, their own inner, engine, if you will, their own inner hardware is like rehabbed with another sort of hard drive or engine. And you're working on foreign parts, if you will. So that's why people kind of experience this sort of shattering of their life after a relationship of being with this person. And that is, I think, what is so very, very troublesome and causes a lot of the ruminations and flashbacks and things. So it's a true recovery of this that needs to take place once you emerge from a relationship with this sort of toxic or hurtful individual, such as we see with a covert narcissist or a psychopath. And it's very much the goal of this channel to assist you with that successfully. It is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today, and I hope that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.